Talkopolis Programming is sponsored in part by Dev Digital, Innovative Software Solutions. The Center for Advanced Dentistry, now serving the greater Nashville area. Hey guys, I'm Kane Harrison. Welcome to Serious Startups, where we explore the nuts and bolts of successful entrepreneurship. And we have our wonderful panel here today. Who's that guy on the end?
I don't know. It's some stranger that just came and sat down next to us.
John, welcome back, mate.
Nice to see you, John.
It's good to see you back on board.
Yeah.
Say hello to the wonderful people at home.
Hey everybody, sorry for missing the last several episodes. Had a little bit of,
He's a busy guy.
a few things come up at the very last second that I take care of. So
You're just so
always the way.
Pre-live shoot, I've been getting berated by my fellow panelists, so I apologize to everybody for not being able to be here.
And Monica, welcome. Dave, as always. So today we're going to talk about the secret or unwritten rules of entrepreneurship. Monica,
So I thought this was really interesting when we had our parenting episode last time, because you said in particular, I'm really surprised to hear that this is the stigma. I would have expected that in the corporate world, but in startups there are no rules.
Right.
But anybody that's been in startups, no offense, Kane, anybody that's been in startups longer than a minute knows that there are rules in startups.
I would love to hear about them. As I said off the camera, I'm obviously breaking a whole bunch of them because I don't know of them. Let's hear them.
Well, you're starting off well, right? Like you don't have kids yet, so that's the one rule you haven't broken.
It's true.
Then he knows about.
Have a baby with every startup. Highly recommended. No.
Right. Yeah. Amp the pressure up.
Right.
But let's talk about some of these.
So one of the ones that I get, and maybe I get this particularly because I'm in media and people are pitching me all the time, but a startup is always killing it. Maybe that's not a secret rule so much as a secret language, but it's never like an honest discussion about what might be going on. Oh, we're killing it. Yeah. We're killing
Well, so I was advised from a motivational speaker standpoint that the answer is, how are things going? The answer is always unbelievable. Because it could be either way.
It could be good or bad.
Right, so it's all about intonation. Right?
Well,
unbelievable. We can't make payroll again.
That's one rule that I'm breaking. I mean,
Yeah.
because I see it opposite. Because the people that I talk to, the people I'm going to say that to, they don't need to know my business anyway.
Right.
But so if the world's perception can be whatever it wants, but the people who I admire, I always be very honest in how the business is going because I want to perhaps get some advice from them, or perhaps some direction.
And that's your mentor board,
So,
but you also want to plant out there this positive vibe, because I won't refer you things if I don't think that you feel positive about it.
Well, that is true. There's no doubt about that.
I've had to train myself in that one.
Well, I think the fake it till you make it aspect, that's how I really frame it.
Yeah.
I think anybody that's ever been in business, we've all had to fake it till we make it. It's whether that's in your own mind, this is going to work, even if other people aren't buying into your the vision for your idea right away. You have to believe it, otherwise you're destined to fail.
Yeah.
Anyway, your point on you're not really mattering what the people out there think about it, I would argue that point just a little bit in relation to brand awareness and buzz about your startup, which can actually correlate with the interest from the advisory and more specifically the investment standpoint. If they're hearing all this buzz about your idea from faking it till you make it and get everybody excited about it,
From killing it.
then you're being able to convince them of, or you have a greater opportunity to convince them of the validity of the idea, assuming everything we're talking about, you said second on, here's the actual reality behind the business, everything else. But I've been able to create all of this interest externally of the concept, assuming we make it to this point.
Right, and John disagreeing with me has just reiterated the way I've felt about him not being here for the last few weeks. But mate, let's hear another unwritten rule that you might have, or that you hear about.
Let's see.
I think another one. Sorry, John.
That's
but
okay.
I
paused.
And I'm going to jump in.
I shouldn't even be here.
See, that's what we're saying here. I think another one is the whole lack of work-life balance, and that's a whole other topic. But if you're in startups, you're expected to be working 18 hours a day on your startup and nothing else ever. And so this is when I know you break, Kane, because you have like 5 companies, right? And you're getting married, so you have a life outside of those companies even. I don't know what you're thinking.
Or he faked it.
So we're gonna distribute this so that all your potential investors now know.
Right.
That is right. I mean, that is hard. You're right, but I so enjoy it. I mean, that's the big thing. I'm not doing it so that other people can see that I'm doing it. I think that's a difference. I mean, the whole fact you make it, I get. I'm a musician. I completely understand smoke and mirrors, but I think if you enjoy it, like every single venture I'm involved in at the moment, I'm really enjoy. Because of me naturally, I'll say I'm passionate about it because I am. I've met some fantastic people. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I mean, I'd do it if my fiance had let me 20 hours a day. I mean, that's the major difference.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like work, even though it sucks sometimes.
Right. But that's how I think how most entrepreneurs feel, or they get out of it quickly. But there are cycles. You know, there's burnout and there's times of rest and that kind of thing.
Stop.
And if you admit that you watched a movie on Friday night instead of
you didn't work
instead of fixing your blog, like
I admit to that. I mean, I admit to the fact that I've felt guilty in admitting that I've done that.
Right.
When you know that
Does
you
it
should.
feel like Kane's on trial right now?
No, a little bit, yeah.
It's fine.
No, but there's always something to do, and you I get in that loop. It's just like I could be working on any one of these either client things because I do the consulting, or my businesses need this, and there's always outstanding paperwork, or it's just like, but you got to stop sometimes.
Well, I think
it's overwhelming.
I know we talked about the parenting aspect last time. You guys are forced to stop in a sense with kids, and so if you're I know if I didn't have Adair, I'd work all the time. So I'd be far worse. She forces me to stop. So
Adair makes you a much better person.
Much better, no doubt. She absolutely does, there's no doubt. But she forces me to stop and smell the roses. I think that's what you guys were saying last week when we were talking about
my
kids.
roses died. I haven't watered them.
Diapers,
I don't remember the last time I had roses.
Well, I think in correlation with what we're talking about now on the passion side, having passion for your idea, your startup is one of those unwritten rules too. That if you don't have it, you might as well not do it. Well, I agree with that. You have to have passion, but then the passion doesn't necessarily have to mean excitement. And it's just something that emotionally engages you. You have to go because at the end of the day, business requires logical outline and potential and mapping out the whole reason you're doing it, which demands you separate your emotion and your passion from the actual logical outcome.
You make bad choices when you are emotional about a business, or I did. And when I loved it too much, I was unwilling to put a bullet in a bad business model because I was too invested emotionally. Yeah. And what I've discovered is like my passion is being an entrepreneur, so I just like good business models. Yeah. So I like to find new crazy things to do business in that I didn't know anything about. So I've been in all kinds of industries and spaces, but if you see a good business model, go do it. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, I think for me, how I contain my passion is I'll have, say, the Nashville imprint. There's so much business involved in that's just monotonously boring. But then all of a sudden I get to read a script, or I get to write songs for that script. And then I can shut the door and I can just get lost in that for a moment.
Which is the piece you like.
Right. So
but that's going to be that 20%.
That's what I'm saying. Finding those pieces within your business, I think, as well, is a great thing to be able to do. Now, sometimes, as you're saying, there's not always going to be that. It's just the opportunity to make money. We all love that too.
Right.
I don't know. I'm the 80% builder, COO type. Like I just look at like every business except the 20% is the same. Gas station, music business, media. I mean, we have functions and we put them in order and we run those things. And I think that's
why we keep Ledge around.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what I do, right? So I don't know a whole lot about everything else. I know how to run a business.
One more unwritten rule, which actually I think it is written down these days, is you're supposed to, as a startup founder, you're supposed to wear every hat. You're supposed to learn absolutely everything. If it's a tech startup, you're supposed to become a designer, a developer, a marketing strategist, a salesman, so on and so forth.
I think that's a myth, right? That's what you're getting to?
Well, that's being. I've read all over the place. You need to learn all these different things, and it's an active thing, especially in the tech space. You're not a programmer. Go learn code.
Go learn code.
Well,
you're not a marketer. Go learn growth hacking.
Right, and if in the initial short stage, if you need that to build out an initial version or whatnot, I don't argue with that point. But to put so much emphasis on learning absolutely everything and becoming an expert in it, I think that's actually a hindrance from the long term. And then it also ends up, if you start to scale, the CEO now wants to be involved in every single aspect of the business and not delegate the authority, which anybody that's been in business before knows you reach that certain point where if you're actually losing opportunity if you don't delegate.
And you're the throttle on your own business.
So you someone, Ledge, who likes to walk in, build a business, and then kind of sit more as an advisory member.
Absolutely.
And
I want to delegate out. Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
know that if you build good systems, someone of a lower level, maybe early in their career, or just not interested in doing anything else, wants to run your bookkeeping.
But basically, what Ledge is actually saying is he's a elitist, and he wants to delegate authority.
No, but that's
Ooh, the plot thickens on serious startups.
I believe, though, that management's a real thing, and I know that's what I'm good at, and that's my skill set. And so what I want to do is build systems that people can do and be proud of their work in the system. You know, you can't just do everything yourself, and I think one of the rules is always that gets thrown around is the Paul Graham, do things that don't scale, and people misappropriate that rule because you should have good systems that scale.
At some point, things have to scale, which is why VCs.
If you're going to build you're going to build your, I don't know, your bookkeeping, or you're going to build like just a basic documentation system, I contend that writing the process down in a way that you can repeat might be seen as unscalable, like, well, we shouldn't, do that. But I mean, the reality is that like that's good scale practice, and you should do it that way at the beginning. You might do business development or customer development things that don't scale. And I think that those little nuggets get thrown around without people thinking about them.
It's not as cool and sexy in the short term, but it's extraordinarily vital in the long term.
Yeah, you get crushed. I mean, if you don't have good processes, that means I need to do everything. And I should be out there doing customer development. And that, I agree, that doesn't scale. Do the goofy things to get customers, just to try it out.
Yeah.
But that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about building bad systems into your company.
Going back to what John said about learning everything, and that's kind of the newly written rule, apparently, of like learn everything. I actually heard just yesterday the opposite advice, and it was so freeing because I was like, that's right. I'm not supposed to learn everything. And this guy was saying, do your thing and do it well, and then recruit people to do all the other things that they're good at.
And that's the whole dumbest person in the room thing, which I kind of, I don't like.
Another unwritten rule of scaling a company.
Right. Like, no, that's not true. I think you should still be the leader and be smart. But find people who are good at stuff that you aren't good at that you know you need, and pay them. And
it's accepting your own, it's subjugating your ego and accepting your own weaknesses and other people's strengths, and creating the whole reality of a team. In any team sport, you've got defense, offense, striker in this particular field, the superstar and whatnot. But without the other guys, the Miami Heat being a prime example, they had a couple superstars and no bench. The Spurs are getting older and whatnot, but they have the best bench in the NBA. Lo and behold, they wiped the floor with them. But the Heat had the best players, best players on the planet. So same kind of thing applies to business. Anyway, have to get in the sports analogy.
I can't argue with that.
Maybe
I don't know anything about basketball, but sounds good to me.
And maybe another rule is, you build your all-star team and attack something disruptive. Well, what if?
Such a.
Oh, that's
what
so.
If that's
oh man, I wish we had started with that.
I hate
to
that.
be disruptive.
Got to be disruptive.
Disruptive to me means that we've given up on new ideas, in a sense, and I mean that I get it, but this could develop into a whole different segment. And I don't know. But I mean, you can still be original in your thinking. You don't necessarily have to attack.
What if you just do an existing boring thing a lot better and you make $30 million? Is everybody cool with that?
Yeah,
I am.
Everyone's cool.
If you have that idea, call me.
No, everyone's not cool with it. That's the secret rule. Only it's not secret. They go
I'm
big
still
or go
stuck
home,
on the whole that there was rules. I mean,
I love
where
that.
do these rules come from? I still don't get it. You can do whatever
Silicon
you
Valley.
want.
Perhaps norms, right? Norms that don't apply everywhere. Who knows?
You can absolutely do whatever you want. Don't you think? Really?
I think there are businesses everywhere, right? There are good things to do with your time to make money, and just go find them. I mean, some of the kudos for the Southeast is like, hey, you guys solve real problems in real businesses, and it's not disruptive, But if you find a new material to make cars with, and it's worth $100 million, like that's a pretty good business to me. There's no app for that. Like there's no consumer.
There's an app for everything.
There's no consumer tech bullshit. It's money, and that's good.
I don't know if this is rules, but one thing I wanted to touch on is that I think that you also come into it thinking that you always have to hit for the fences, and we talk about levels of success. And as you said, I think really well, when you got down to the nuts and bolts of it, it was if you could make a living doing what you wanted to do and support your family, to you that was a success.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah.
sure, look, everybody wants to hit one out, right? But you're laying the groundwork and you're learning from it.
Every person that you talk to that's been successful, every single one of them tells you making the first $1 million was the hardest.
Yeah.
Right.
And once it did that, it becomes dramatically easier, regardless if it's cool, sexy, disruptive startups or excuse me, traditional business. You're a real estate developer. It doesn't make a difference. It's all about having the capital and being able to control your own outcome versus having to go beg somebody else to help you take it to the next level.
Like,
I mean, that's
what is it? PayPal was Peter Thiel's 9th startup after getting, just devastated.
Well, to Kenny's point on not swinging for the fences every time, and what we're talking about doing the boring, not necessarily as sexy, but it's building a better mousetrap. That enables you, because they already have the established. I think one of the greatest oppositions to being disruptive is the fact that you're building something new, and therefore you have to get everybody to adopt this new revolutionary. It's disruptive, but they don't know what the hell it does. So from a sales and marketing standpoint, it becomes that much more difficult to convert the customers. If you're building a better mousetrap, the demand and the need for it has already been generated. You're just selling a better way to do it that costs less, more efficient.
Right. Sure. Yeah, creating a new market is always more expensive than entering an existing market in some kind of niched fashion. So that comes up all the time in the lean startup literature.
Well, I think that's about it, all we've got time for. We love having you back, mate.
Well, thank you.
2 cents in on the end there. We're all wore black today. I don't know why.
It's the new black shirt mafia.
In memory of the weeks we've missed you, I think is probably why. But,
so does that mean you're mourning my return or mourning my absence?
You can take that whichever way you want, buddy. You can take that.
Honoring our sadness.
It has been a great talk with you at the desk. I know that much, and we've enjoyed having you back. Hey, you guys can jump in the conversation at Serious Startups and follow us all on Twitter and at Talkopolis as well if you want to discuss anything we've talked about today, or you want to hear some topics and get these wonderful people to talk about them, then just contact at Serious Startups and we certainly will talk about it. So thanks again, guys, for joining us.
Appreciate
and thank you at home for joining us on Serious Startups.